Well, if you're new here, or not, let me quickly catch you up on what the game is about. So you're not the random weird guy who doesn't know what we're talking about. So imagine two teams. Both of them has a leader, and both of their surnames are Ego. Like, literally, Ego. And everybody's goal is to destroy the other team's ego. Both mentally and literally. And so, how do you destroy their ego exactly? By using a bunch of weird, goofy-ass abilities that you're gonna see in the future that simply humiliate the other person. But before the fighting stage, there's the gathering stage, in which you gather materials to bring back to your ego so he can build a defense for himself and defend himself from enemies. So in this episode, I'm gonna try to finish the tree functionality, that is, making them actually choppable and then they respawn after a while. But I don't think I'll have enough time to make the droplets yet, so that probably might be in the next episode, but we'll see. So the first thing I did was I created a separate folder for all the values that the tree will need to hold, like the HP and the ID, so they're in the same place. And after that I just organized the code so all the separate things are in separate functions, so I can call them multiple times when I need to, and not have to write them again. But now I'm thinking, what if after hitting the critical orb and not hitting it again for a certain amount of time, what if it just disappeared and you had to hit the tree again, so it reappears? So there's kind of like a countdown as to how much time you have until it disappears, and you have to hit the tree again. So let's start writing the timer function. If only I could remember how to write the generic for loop. Yeah, I'm kind of struggling. Okay, let me actually look it up real quick. Okay, that's how you write it. Okay, will this work? Yeah, it doesn't seem to. No, it seems to work, but it doesn't overwrite the previous function that was called. So the countdown timer doesn't reset. But in the end, I decided to scrap the timer thing. Because, like, it's not that big of a problem if the critical hitbox just stays there for the whole round. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So the next thing I quickly made was actually implementing HP removal when you hit the tree. And yeah, it works really nice. The multiplier too. Now that that is done, let's finally get to creating the falling tree mechanic itself. So I've cooked up something right here, so let's see if this works. And well, that is almost perfect. Okay, hopefully I've fixed the issue now, so let's see. Why is the tree teleporting to the orb? Like, why? Come on, man. And why does the orb not appear for other trees? Okay, well, back to the scripting dungeon, I guess. Okay, now that that is fixed, I see that there is a teeny tiny problem where the tree tends to fall on my head. Not the other way around. Which sometimes can come in really unpleasantly, to say the least. I sat on this problem for quite a while, but did I find the fix for this? The answer is yes and no. Let me just show you. Alright, well, I've boiled up some math by using the Pythagorean theorem, Pythagoras theorem, or however you call that triangle shit. So let's see if anything has changed. And okay, it's acting like a fidget spinner. Nice. No, but this is actually pretty funny that I can hit them again and they spin again. Like, nah, that is actually pretty fun. Anyway, well, after throwing in some trigonometry elements, the fidget spinner moment seems to have calmed down. But the problem still remains. The tree still wants to fall on top of me. What if I change it so it rotates also on the z-axis? No, the dumbass still wants to fall on my head. On attempt number 4, I did something differently and it seems to actually work this time. Finally. Though the only problem I see is that if it's hit to one side, it still kind of levitates upwards. And if it's on the other side, it's too much into the ground. Well, I don't know exactly why this happens, but basically how this works is I'm rotating a single part that is somewhere on the base of the tree. And the rest of the tree is welded to this single part. So when I rotate this part, the tree moves along. But still, it doesn't really make any sense as to why it rotates like this, because it should be perpendicular to the ground, because I'm rotating 90 degrees. But here it's just weirdly unevenly in the ground. But I guess that it's kind of fine, so let's move on to the next thing, which is actually making the tree respawn. So basically how I made this is when you chop down the tree, or when you get the tree's HP to 0 or below to be specific, the one part that's on the base of the tree, which is called the pivot part, I simply move it 1000 studs below, so you can't really see it where it is. And I also don't delete the tree, because the trees will spawn in the exact same spot all the time. So let's see how this works. And yeah, it seems to be working. Will it reappear? Yes, it does reappear. But why are the hits not registering? Like, the tree is there. What's the problem? But how does it actually look on the server side? And for whatever fucking reason, the tree is not there. Which makes absolutely 0 sense. So let's see where the tree actually is. What the hell is it doing there? Okay, the pivot part is still there. But the base of the tree, which holds up everything else, is in a completely different spot, which makes absolutely 0 sense. But I think I know what the problem is. Every time the tree respawns, I have to reassign the C0 position and orientation to how it was before. Because for some weird reason it just changes to something else after it has been moved down like 1000 studs. And let's see if this works. And yeah, it does seem to work, which is pretty nice. So the last thing of the episode, the cherry on top, is adding the special effects. So I added this cool leaf particle emitter around the greenery of the tree. And when the tree is chopped, I also added an effect and a sound effect. I mean, the sound effect is kind of ass, where it just cuts off at the end, but I couldn't really find anything better on the toolbox. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments or join my Discord server. And also, if you want to know how I learned the script, check out the link in the pinned comment. And as always, remember, you are just one game away. And I'll see you in the next one.